Brent, when you first got here at Oklahoma, quarterback was an interesting position for you guys because you had someone on campus who you probably liked in Caleb. And I'm wondering, what were those conversations like with him? And then when did Dillon come on your radar, and what were your first impressions of him?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to really go back and talk about guys that aren't here anymore, but we needed, our quarterback roster was not what Oklahoma is used to. I think that goes without saying for lots of different reasons. I think we had a couple of guys within, several months of December that had already decided to move on or had moved on to some other schools, and we did not have a roster that was strong at quarterback. As a result, from a depth standpoint and development standpoint, just didn't have the numbers. So I can't remember exactly when, but even before that announcement, we knew we needed to get additional quarterbacks. That was the mindset, was we need probably two additional. If everything stays the same, we need a couple. And so we end up getting one right away, and that was a very pressurized moment, if you will, for Dillon and for us. And then he had to have a lot of trust and faith and belief, and knowing that he had never met me. I FaceTime with him, and hey, brother, here's the situation. I visit with him and his family, and I know you're supposed to be going to college tomorrow, or maybe it was 2 days away, and but here's our situation. And obviously Jeff's relationship, lend credibility, to some of their conversations and the things that we were laying out there for him. So, next thing you know, he had a few questions, and we answered them as well as we could under the circumstance. Some of it you just didn't know, but I told him I couldn't make any promises about who was going to be here, who wasn't. I was going to try to keep the roster as is, so he'd have to come knowing, that I wasn't going to be misleading and things of that nature. I want him to come here and feel good about his opportunity, and he bet on himself. When it's all said and done, he bet on himself and bet on his relationship with Coach Levy, and worked out really well for all of us.
Had you watched any tape on him?
Oh, yeah.
Been familiar with his game? What stood out when you watched him?
Just a baller, And, of course, I knew of Dillon Gabriel, having been in the Southeast, and there was another quarterback, Mackenzie Milton, that had transferred to Florida State, and so I kind of knew those dynamics of what was going on. Florida State was a big rival, so and then fan of Josh and Jeff both, and their situation there, and so I've always been paying attention, and this Gabriel guy's pretty dang good, and so and then of course we watched his video too, all right, let's just get familiarized, with here's the guys that maybe we're looking at.
Called it a pressurized situation when Dillon committed here and what he stepped into. He and Jeff began their relationship together in 2019. I'm sure it was pressurized.
Yeah, and I was referring to, he's got to make this life-changing decision. He was planning on going to L.A. He's going to get on a plane within several hours. And so when I say pressure, that's a lot on a young person and their family, What do we do? Do we take a leap of faith? What? I don't even know what that would be like, where you got to make that decision. There's not like, well, let me think about it. There ain't no thinking about it. You got to make a decision now. And the life-changing decision, that's a completely different path. Doesn't mean he couldn't have success there. But that's what I referred to.
2019, I talked to him last night, a lot of pressure being a starting quarterback 3 games into your college career. What struck you about the relationship between Dillon and Jeff that you've gotten to observe over the last 20-some months?
It was just easy, natural, respect. It's like a dad and his son, Jeff has great admiration and respect and love for Dillon, and Dillon does, with Coach Levy. So that's what you saw, belief and trust, and just a very natural, relationship, more like a a son and his father as opposed to a coach and a player.